Hello, welcome back to my Popcast episode 4. This is a random podcast at the random, not very random theme at this moment. Last night, I started learning German again, but this time it was different. I didn't take the German grammar book that I used to learn back then, but instead I chose a book that my friend showed me. I learned from it and I try Google Translate. I use the voice recorder just to know that I pronounce or I speak the words well and correct. So I turned it on and I spoke the words, all of the sentences such as Guten Tag, ich heiße Franziska Bieden, ich bin 37 Jahre alt, something like that. And the most difficult thing is how to say that I speak Spanish and I speak as well Spanish and English. It is Ich spreche auch Spanish und English. And I learned how to say that I'm learning Japanese now is Ich lerne jetzt Japanisch. It's funny, right? And I learned how to say I'm from France and I come from France and I speak my mother tongue. They say mother language, right? Mother language is la langue maternelle. La langue maternelle, c'est pas maternelle, mais maternelle. La langue maternelle française. But we say my mother, native speaker, we say mother tongue, mother language. I wonder, I have to recheck it. So anyway, it is said by meinen Muttersprache ist Französisch. Ich komme aus Frankreich. Reich. So it was difficult and I recorded myself and I sent to my uncle in the US. He listened to it and he said I have French accent, and I was like astonished because it was really weird for Vietnamese to have French accent, and I don't have any English accent at all. Why? Even though when I'm speaking English right now, I'm wondering if it's still in French accent or what. And I rewatched Bridgerton lately. I finished episode 8 or 5, I don't know, I didn't recall, but I think I prefer to have a British accent than the American accent. Is it still racism? Am I racist? And anything else? Yeah, but relearning German make me feel very happy indeed. And I think I will try learning German in this method. Out of the blue, learn by the songs, learn by anything that pops up in my head, and I try to figure out a way to learn probably German. And German language or any language like Spanish, I used to learn Spanish, French or English or Vietnamese. They tend to have their beauty, and I remember the moment I realized the beauty of Spanish when we speak it, when we say uno poco, or the words for the children, but I forgot it. So at that time, I feel like I understand now why people who speak Spanish can be so enthusiastic, so sympathy, so passionate as well. And people who speak Italian is so delicate, so prudent, and they are people who seem to have the finest taste because they pay a lot of attention to the words they speak, and even though they speak fast, but it doesn't mean that it isn't beautiful. And the French, I wonder why people still now. I wonder why people found that French tongue is very attractive, sexy, or sensual, right? The word sensual. Because when I speak French, I was like, I feel like it's the language that we can speak with joy, and we express ourselves very good in that language, very confident, very faithful, trustful and faithful to what we believe it is right. And for me, English is something very, it gives me freedom, liberty to do what I want, to believe in the future, to think that it is possible. And Vietnamese bring us some many foreigners, they say Vietnamese language is like singing a song. The tunes is up and down like that. It's like la 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 la. No, it's not like that, but yes, for me Vietnamese is I must tell you a story that when I was 12 years old, 11 years old, when I started speaking English pretty good at that time, I felt like Vietnamese is my least favorite language that I prefer to speak or prefer to express myself, because I consider myself that I don't have a very great or good voice for people to listen to, and it disturbed me a lot. I didn't like it. And then when I grew up and I went to work, have to speak a lot of Vietnamese during work time and workplace, I realized that Vietnamese language is very rich. They have many words, and to use it, you must be very wise to use Vietnamese words just to demonstrate that you are an educated person. That's it. And because we have a lot of slang and local language from every corner of the country, so it was difficult to understand the mentality of people as well. But for me, language is the easiest thing that I can do without giving any efforts, which means I don't need to change anything. I just learn it as it is very natural to me, and I wonder why. And speaking in a higher spirit or something that is beyond the material world that we are into now. Yesterday when I learned the phrases that I come from France. My mother language is French, and I can speak English very good and a little Spanish. I somehow found myself in that situation, even though French is not my mother language, but it's coincident or accidentally that it is the very first language that I spoke when I started talking as a baby. My mom just told me this morning, like the first word I ever said is balloon, which means backpack, and carrot. It was weird, but yet I was taught French first before Vietnamese, before English. And when I was 8 years old, 7, 8, I was taught English by a father priest. He has it's an LB before, and then they turned it into a high school. We studied there. He spoke French for more than 20 years, and then he taught English for children like us back then. I was taught English language by a spoken French man for 20 years, and I can explain how he accomplished, complimented my accent or my speaking skills, because it sounds like him, or I did have a very good accent. People tend to tell me that my accent in English is very natural. French as well. I have a talent. Maybe my talent is speaking language very natural. Like I live there. Not I'm native, but I live there. And everything else, yes, it appeared to me like when I was 17, I chose to take French linguistics as French language as my major in university, and I didn't regret that choice, even though I chose it out of the blue without knowing anything, except that it was a language I learned when I was little before English. So why not relearn it, retake it, to find out that if I'm capable to learn it again. And here I am working with French, not French man, Belgian man, but French spoken man for the past 7 years. It was astonished, right? French, for me, French language is the key, or a little pathway lead me to a garden, to a market full of surprises, full of things to visit. Some places I try to stay, some places I just stay for a while, some places I pass by, some places lead me to another places as well, and I return from it. And some places I chose to stay, but not really knowing if it was meant to be for me to stay. But I chose to stay though, and it turned out to be it's not the very best place to settle down. And then I move on now. And French, before I'm learning French, speaking French, I speak English. Now and then I still speak English. And for me, English is some language I really enjoy, but still a foreign one for me. But French is not a foreign language for me. It's somehow coming back home. And English somehow teach me to be a grown-up person. And German and Spanish, just these languages just sharpen my mind and gain me more and more knowledge, and help me to see perspective from other people that I was not able to see if I speak in my mother tongue and French and English. I try to learn Chinese as well, but when I learn Chinese, it gives me a time to mediation. It's somehow very calm and patience, and I must be patient if you want to learn Chinese. Yeah, and I think that I should relearn it. I don't know, maybe it's in my gen that I can speak, that I am able to learn more than 2 languages like that, and I am grateful for it. Not to mention that I can witness more beauty from it, and it entertained me a lot. Anything else? And yes, yesterday or the other day, I was thinking about that if MIT, they have a committee ball, you know, the ball just like a prom in high school, and people can wear night clothes and they dance, they waltzing around the room like that. And I think that when I get into MIT, I will suggest a committee ball for every freshman man after year, because if they say there are a part of the students who are the very first person who can go to higher education, we're going to have a higher education, and they are not absolutely experienced anything like prom or committee ball as all. So why don't we not give them a chance, but just open up something for them to find it out by themselves, because prom at the 18 and prom at the still 18 or 19 is pretty much the same. The difference here is you are having community bond university, which means you more mature, things getting serious and have more fun, and you be conscious with things that you've done. I have that plan in my mind, and I thinking about sending intervention, got donation. People have student, if they cannot afford a prom dress, we can sell it, we can sew it, we can make it, we can tailor it, anything that can help everyone to have a great night for the prom, a great date or half day of the prom. And that's my idea. I wish I can make it happen, or I can make it happen when I come to Founders College. I don't know, but let's see what gives me fire, passion, everything. And somehow when I am scrolling down on TikTok, I saw a post they saying that people who send the application, who want to persuade their education in the Ivy League universities, they tend to be all of them, or 8 out of 10% who are ambitious achiever, but they don't have passion. So the question for me at that point is, what is my passion? I don't know if I have passion in anything. I think if we do something more than 3 hours per day or per half day, which is 6 hours per day, without getting tired, no need to relax and really enjoy every minute of doing this. For me, maybe it would be doing tarot reading, it would be studying, learning languages, and playing piano. That would be my passion, and I can go on and on to find all the folk songs, the folklores, the traditional songs in French, in Swedish, in German, in English, in everything that I can find. I am not tired of listening to all of these songs and try to figure out what it is. So for me, learning it's not a habit, it's a pleasure, a leisure of things I love to do till the day I die, just like a lover that I want to make every time I do it. So could it show passion at that point? Example, for my podcast like this, I saw the first video have 7 views, and then the other second and the third had only 2 views, and I didn't expect this one had more than less one views, but who cares? I just do it as I like, and it's a record my thinking. It's good to recording something in your mind without typing or writing it there, because it takes more time than speaking and recording. It's the fastest way that we can do. If we can take a test and just recording my answers, my essay by this, saving much time than just writing and reading and print it by the paper, you see. But of course, it brings difficulty for your hearings if you have to hear something like that all of the day. So reading is much more fun because you can stop and you think, and you have time to really understand, really have the idea and have the comments, and just listen to it, I guess. So I shall continue with my German lessons, and I get back to you when I have another random idea for the next podcast. Thank you so much for listening of this until now. I hope my voice, my ideas, my everything that has been recorded, said and done here can give you some ideas or another things, amuse you, entertain you, I guess. That's it. Bye bye. See you next time.